Hi, this is part one of what I'm calling the tortilla quilt, or making tortillas. It is made up of many circles, and the reason I call them tortillas is because they look like your mother when she used to ask you to make all of these tortillas. We're going to make these rounds, or tortillas, and it makes into this quilt, which is a quilt as you go. So you're going to finish, you're going to have a completed quilt. Let me talk a little bit about the fabrics. I have chosen Asian fabrics, as you can see here, and you can choose all kinds of different Asian fabrics that you have available, any kind of focus fabric. You can use, again, florals, you can use nursery prints, you can even use sports prints, and your backing, again, can be solid. I used one solid, but it could be different. It could be two colors every other, or it could be a series of scraps. So those are the options with regard to your fabrics. So let's talk about what you're going to be doing. You're going to be needing not only your focus fabric, which in this instance I'm using my Asian fabric, your backing fabric, and again, these are all cut tortillas, and flannel, which is going to be the inside. Don't use a batting, it'll be too heavy. So try and stay with the flannel, it's most effective. Now, why I'm calling it making tortillas, also you can take, your template is going to be any olla that you wish to use. In this instance, I used this salad bowl that I have, and you are going to use it as your template. You will cut your circle all the way around, and you're going to do it with each of your fabrics, your focus fabrics, your flannel, and your backing. These are the circles that you're going to make, and so that is the template that you're going to be using, just a circle. And I would suggest using your olla or something like that to make your template. Instead of using a paper template, it'll come out much more even if you go all the way around and trim that. So I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to show you how to begin making your tortillas. So again, what we do, let me put the quilt there, bring in your sewing machine. Again, remember, it is made up of 3 different pieces. The flannel piece, which is the piece that's going to go first. So you lay that down. Then you do your backing fabric, and again, right side up. So you place that directly on there with your focus fabric on top, and again, right sides together. So again, it is your focus fabric, your backing fabric, and then your flannel. Pin that all together so that you are ready to sew. And again, it's a good idea to use your pins all the way around and to hold it in place. Now again, using a 1/4 inch on your sewing machine, sew all the way around. And again, I remove my pins as I go along, but let me just sew one round, or one tortilla as I call it. So you sew all the way around. Make sure you're catching all 3 fabrics, a 1/4 inch from the edge. And of course, I forgot to mention one step before we get to the sewing, and I'll mention it now. So you overlap, cut all the way across. Now, when you were doing your focus fabric, one of the parts that I forgot to mention is that because in order for you to turn it around, you have to cut from one end, you have from 1.5 inches from the edge, and about a 3-inch slit across here. And that is for the purposes of turning your quilt. In this instance, you'll see it here. So it's 1.5 inches from the top and about a 3-inch slit across. You should do that before you sandwich or put your 3 pieces together. So then, through that, you are going to turn your tortilla inside out. So again, gently through that little 3-inch hole, you're going to turn it out and finger press in order to make it the tortilla round. If you remember when you were making tortillas, even though mine were never that straight, my mother always said, don't worry, porque no van rodando. So again, through that opening, you can use anything you want to smooth that seam out. I'm using this little handy item that I have that works very well, but you could use the back of a brush that also works. What you're trying to do is smooth out the tortilla as you go along. Now what I do is I would finger press it, take the time, finger press all the way around to smooth all of that out as much as possible. And then you're going to take it over to your ironing board, and that's going to be right over here. I'm going to move my olla. And you're going to take your tortilla and you're going to press it smoothly. And I should have mentioned some of the items that you are going to need along the way. I'm going to do that now. In order to press it, you should use something like Best Press or Steam, anything that you could do to make it smooth. Again, pressing it all the way around, making it sure that your tortilla is as round as possible. Here's again where the opening was. Remember, it's on one side. If in fact you have a focus fabric, in this instance, that is in directional, then you're going to want this focus, this slit, to be in the direction of where you're going to place your floral or your design or whatever it may be. In this instance, make sure you are pressing this as much as possible, and again, using the spray in order to make sure that it is steaming up hot enough. Excuse me. So again, when you look at this opening that is here, if you pressed it now, keep in mind this is where you're going to turn that wedge. So it's going to be hidden, and you're going to be sewing over it as you make your rows and you sew your tortillas together. So basically, that is how you make a set of tortillas. And again, we have to go through how many you're going to make. Again, putting them together, you can make as few as 4 and put 4 together. I'm making, my quilt is going to be 5 rows or 5 tortillas across by 6 rows. So I need to make 30 of these tortillas in order to make my design. And it looks like a wedge or a peel, and you're going to quilt as you go. So that is how you make the tortilla. And again, recapping very quickly, cut your tortillas with your olla. Again, make sure you are cutting your 3 layers, your focus fabric, your flannel, and your backing fabric. So those are the 3 pieces you need to make each tortilla. Decide how big your quilt is going to be, and how you're going to, what kind of fabrics you're going to use. And as I said, it's a quilt as you go project. So at the end, you're going to have a completed quilt, completely quilted with a nice focus fabric. Select a nice fabric that's going to work for you, and it's easy to do. Making tortillas, that's part 1.